Should you invest when the stock market is at an all-time high, or should you wait for things to get cheaper and come to you? Let's go ahead and break it down. This is a fun and interesting question to me because you can interpret this a bunch of different ways, and I'm going to interpret all of those different ways. So the first thing is this. When the stock market or any individual stock hits an all-time high or a 52-week high, that's the highest it's been over the last year, doesn't really mean that much. Okay, a lot of people feel like, hey, this is the ceiling. It has never been here before. Things have to fall. Things are way too expensive. I'm just going to wait until things get better. Well, I don't know what's better than the stock being up. So that's one thing. But also, you can't have it both ways. Because yes, right now in 2024, at the time that we're doing this video, the market is at an all-time high and things are going great from the stock market perspective. Well, when things weren't doing well 2 years ago in 2022 and the market was down close to 20%, nobody wanted to invest then, right? People said the market was falling apart and I was buying stocks like Nvidia. Just throwing it out there, right? But here's the thing. You can't not want to invest when the market is down and also not want to invest when the market is up. Then you're just not investing at all. Right, that's more of a psychological thing. You're kind of tricking yourself into thinking this is the ceiling and it can't go past that, and also things are falling apart and things won't bounce back. Those two things can't be true, right? For us to have an all-time high now, it had to come from somewhere, right? And that somewhere was 2022 and every year before that. So those two things don't mix. But also, check this out. Since 1950, the stock market hits an average of 17 all-time highs in a single year. So every year, on average, okay, clearly we didn't have this in 2022, but on average, we see 17 all-time highs. So if you see an all-time high today and you're like, hey, I don't know if I want to do this, well, you got 16 more all-time highs, right? The way I like to look at it is today's all-time high is tomorrow's dip. Okay, think of it like that. So today might be an all-time high. The market continues setting the record and it comes back down to what it was today. And like, oh my God, the stock market took a dip. Well, bro, it was an all-time high 2 weeks ago and you didn't want to invest. Now it's back at that price. So do you want to jump in or not? Right? This is why the solution is to just continuously invest in either case and not really concern yourself with, is this a 52-week high? Is it an all-time high? Because it really doesn't matter. Because again, you don't remember how many all-time highs we hit in 2021. You don't know how many all-time highs we hit in the year 2010. But thankfully, we do have a chart here that's going to show you how many all-time highs we've had per decade. So I'm just going to start in 1990 because that's the decade I was in. You had 310 all-time highs in the 1990s. Now in the 2000s, we didn't have that many. Okay, we only had 13 all-time highs in that entire decade. The 2010s, we had 242 all-time highs. And then in the 2020s, so far, we have 110 all-time highs. So again, you hit an all-time high and you don't want to invest. It happened 110 times in the last 4 years. I don't think you can afford not to invest just because it's all-time high. Because again, today's all-time high is tomorrow's dip. Okay, so just keep that, put it on a t-shirt. Perhaps we will, right? But the main thing is, yes, you should continue to invest. I wouldn't be afraid of an all-time high. Now, just because I say that does not guarantee that the stock market won't fall, but also the stock market tends to recover. We've seen that, right? The stock market recovered in the same year that we had the pandemic. A lot of people don't remember that. The stock market was positive in 2020. It was positive in 2021. It fell in 22, recovered in 23, and so far, we're fine in 2024. We'll see what happens at the end of the year. But more times than not, the stock market is up. It feels expensive now. In 2028, 2029, you're going to wish that you bought in 2024, right? People are wishing that, oh my God, I don't know if I want to buy Nvidia now. And I get it. I feel like I don't think Nvidia can repeat what it did last year. I don't know. But guess what? I don't have to worry about that because I got it in 2019 and in 2020. Okay? When people thought it was expensive back then. And here we are, right? So you got to really kind of set the psychology aside and just continuously invest. I think it's one of the best ways to avoid some of these psychological tricks. I think it's a bias. It's natural that we have that. But it's why I set my investments on an automated basis and just, hey, I'm putting it in at this time. It's going to go every month. It's going to go every week and just have it that way and have things on autopilot. So I'm not really in the weeds trying to figure out whether or not this is the right time. The last thing I'll say on it is this. When we talk about whether it's too expensive or whether we should buy it or not, that all depends on what you think the value is, and most people don't know what the value of a particular stock or particular company is. So for example, at the time we're doing this, Nvidia is worth $2 trillion. $2 trillion. And for context, Nvidia right now is worth more than every single stock on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And let me say this, all of them combined, every single stock on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange combined is not worth what Nvidia is worth right now at $2 trillion. Also, Nvidia at $2 trillion is bigger than all but 11 countries on the face of the earth. Yeah, that's really expensive, okay? That feels crazy. But if I think that Nvidia is worth $10 trillion, 2 is a value, right? If you think it is worth $1 trillion, then Nvidia is way too expensive and it's not worth buying. But if you don't know right? If you don't know the value of Nvidia, then you're not going to know which way is up. You just know that it feels expensive compared to everything else, and that doesn't really help you, right? It all depends on what it is you're looking at, what you think the value is, but most importantly, is playing the long game. When I thought that Amazon was too expensive, when it was $3,000 a share in, I don't know, 2013, 2014, I didn't buy. It continued to do well. And it did stock splits. That's why it's not $3,000 today. But I was like, oh, if Amazon hits $3,000, it'll never get past that. That was dumb, because it did, right? And I had this psychological barrier thinking that it wasn't going to go past that, when there is no cap to how high a stock can rise. Even though I know, I felt it myself, like, ooh, I don't know if this is going to continue to go on forever, and it may not. But the main thing is, the stock market as a whole tends to rise more often than not, and you are going to forget that today was an all-time high, and you're going to hit another 16 on average in that particular year that you are experiencing that. So just keep investing, stay focused, and it would help if you knew exactly what to invest in, especially in a time like this. So we did a video on the best stocks under $100. Now that is still a quote-unquote barrier. These stocks are going to go past $100 at some point, so you definitely want to make sure you check out this video and see what stocks may work for you. You can check out that video right here.